this is still unsolved. There are a lot of theories. However, this is still unsolved, and this happened relatively recently in 2007. So of course, best wishes out to the family. Hopefully we can get this solved soon and get some justice for this little girl. And of course, hopefully she is alive and well, hopefully. So if you have never heard of Madeleine Mccann, her case has actually been coined like the most well-documented kidnapping case in like all of history. If you're aware of the Sean Benet Ramsey case, this was sort of the same amount in like, I don't want to say popularity because that's not the right word, but like of media coverage and knowledge of the crime. Even though this happened out of the US, out of the UK, out of Australia, this was in like another total new country. This was in Portugal. This happened in Portugal. Now, I'm gonna be looking over here because I have like my points that I want to touch on, and to make sure I get like all of my information, that is, make sure all my information is correct. So, let us just begin. So like I said, this case began in 2007. Madeline was the oldest of three children. Three children. Even though she was only 3 at the time, she still was older than her two younger twin siblings. She was from Ireland. And her parents decided to go on a vacation to Portugal. Her parents' names were Kate McCann and Jerry McCann. So, in 2007, the family decides to go to Portugal for a little family vacation, right? Okay. days, the case fast becoming a sensation. The Portuguese authorities would later attract criticism over their conduct. In the crucial earliest hours of the investigation, when the trail might still have been warm, accused of making rudimentary mistakes like failing to conduct a house-by-house search of every local residence or interview all of the guests at the resort, acting slowly to erect roadblocks and potentially compromising forensic evidence. The police initially stated that they believed Madeleine was still alive and had been abducted from the room by a stranger, as the parents described their anguish and despair over her vanishing, a worst fear realized for any parent. So, let's recap what we have so far. Somebody checks on all of the children at 9:30. I believe it was the husband, but I could be wrong. Everybody's there, everybody's fine, everybody's sleeping. But then at 10 p.m., when Kate, the mother of Madeleine, goes to check the room, she realizes that Madeleine is gone. Now, an important part that I have not mentioned, nor like my little source, the way that they were entering this apartment was they left a door unlocked, like a sliding glass door unlocked, so they could get in and out easily. This was also a point of criticism because it allowed, literally anybody to just walk right in. I think that's important to mention. So, on the 26th of May, police issued a description of a suspicious man seen on the night of the girl's disappearance. The individual in question was spotted by Jane Tanner, one of the McCann's dining companions, who said she had seen a Mediterranean man with dark hair and beige trousers carrying a child close to the apartment when she went to check on her own children. The search continued as the summer progressed amid a wild media circus, and with huge fundraising activities underway. The McCanns setting up Madeleine's Fund on the 15th of May to raise cash to support further investigation and keep the profile of the case high, attracting generous donations from celebrities like Simon Cowell, J.K. Rowling. By the 30th of May, the case was such a phenomenon that they were being flown out for interviews. So you can actually find a lot of interviews of the parents talking about the situation in their own words. I have seen a lot of these interviews. And oh wow, I forgot about this part. They were also being flown out to meet the Pope. Like the Pope. This is how big this case was. So, the first suspect in this case at the time was named Robert Murat. Probably saying that wrong. He had his house and car searched, his swimming pool drained, and his electronic devices confiscated. But no evidence was found to link him to Madeleine, and the matter was soon dropped. By June, the Portuguese police admitted that they had failed to protect potentially useful evidence at the scene. As frustration with the lack of developments grew and the media began to question whether the McCanns themselves have been involved in the matter. Now, I had told you to remember the quote from the mother. The whole Madeleine's gone, someone has taken her. Those were exact words. A lot of people say that that was a weird thing to have said. Because if you realize that your child is missing, a lot of people's initial reaction isn't someone took her. Now, of course it could be, but it's also people just think that it was a strange thing to say, like right off the bat. But I feel like in every big child case that we see, the parents are always suspects at some point, and this case is absolutely no exception. So, one important thing that I'm going to elaborate on is that tabloid allegations suggested the couple and their friends might have been sedating their children while course, we don't know if this is true, and no real evidence has been shown to this. However, a lot of people also talk about how in interviews the parents act strangely, that they don't show emotion or that they smile at weird times. But I feel like in a lot of these cases, of course, that I've seen or like read about, a lot of people will point this out about people close to the case, that they act weird or they don't act like you would think that they would act. But I think it's important to note that when you have such a strange and emotionally taxing situation, such as your child literally being kidnapped from their bed, I don't think there's a right way to act or a way that would have been more acceptable to act. And you'll never know how you would act unless you were in that sort of situation. So I don't think that that part is like right to judge them about, in my opinion. So the intensity of the hostility towards the parents would later be described by Roy Greenslade of The Guardian as no journalistic accident, but a sustained campaign of vitriol against a grief-stricken family. That's exactly what I was saying. Singling out the Daily Press and the Daily Star for particular condemnation. In July of that year, assistance offered by former South African police officer Danny Krugel, who claimed his handheld matter orientation system could help find Madeleine, was rubbished while British police sent over 2 Springer Spaniel dogs to search for DNA. Relations with the local authorities would ultimately sour as the latter came to resent British intrusion into a Portuguese inquiry. So, she was from the UK. However, since this happened in Portugal, there was a lot of bureaucratic nonsense basically going on, which I feel is kind of stupid, because I feel like in a situation like this, like that type of stuff shouldn't matter. This is a, child that's missing. But, I digress. By August, Madeleine had been missing for 100 days, and police admitted for the first time that she may never be found. They also told the McCanns that they were no longer considering the matter an abduction case, but rather a murder inquiry. The McCanns themselves were interviewed as suspects by Portuguese police in September, with the parents told that the dogs had discovered DNA evidence from the missing girl in the boot of their holiday rental car. Lines of inquiry that had already been leaked to the British press. They vehemently denied having any part in her disappearance. Despite being listed as suspects, the McCanns were allowed to return to Britain on September 9th. A day later, Chief Inspector, I'm gonna butcher this, Tavares de Almeida of the Policia Judiciaria of Portugal, signed a 9-page report concluding that Madeleine Mccann had died in their apartment as a result of an accident, which is what I mentioned. That the tapas dinner and rota checks on the McCann children, the rota checks being like the system that they had every 30 minutes, on the McCann children had been part of a planned cover-up, that the family's friends had helped to mislead the police, and that the McCanns had concealed the body and then faked an abduction, which is what I had talked about. On October 2nd, Chief Inspector Goncalo Amaral was removed from the case and transferred after alleging that the British police were only interested in pursuing leads favorable to the McCanns. Then, let's see. With the trail cold and no closure in sight, the McCanns continued to publicize their cause, issuing computer-generated images of how Madeleine might have looked now had she aged on the 3rd of November 2009, and this point, this is now going on like 2014, 2017. This is just 10 years after the fact. And unfortunately, anything that could have been proved or found is sort of not going to be anymore. There's a lot of theories, there's a lot of suspects, of course, the parents being one, and that man that I mentioned at the start, but nobody has been arrested for the kidnapping or the murder of Madeleine Mccann. Multiple people, multiple women have come out saying that they believe that they are Madeleine Mccann. One guy, I remember seeing this on TikTok, like in real time last year. This woman was convinced that she was Madeleine Mccann. She had like the same freckles somewhere, and her age matched, and she was adopted. And she got everyone's hopes up, and unfortunately they did a DNA test and she was not Madeleine. And this has happened multiple times. New evidence has come up that really leads nowhere. A lot of people think that she was murdered. I can't say for sure. I don't want to say that I think. Give me one second. Sorry, I was having when air is trapped in your throat and then it comes up. That's what just happened to me. Anyway, in my opinion, I don't think that it's likely that she is still alive. Of course, it is still possible. Of course, I hope that she is still alive, but statistically, she most likely isn't. And this case is just sad because we really don't know, anything that happened. These parents are left without answers. She had left behind 2 siblings without answers. And like I said at the start of the video, hopefully at some point we can get some sort of closure on this case. But for now, it is still unsolved. And some people label it a kidnapping case and some people label it a murder case. I feel like the Portuguese police were too quick to call it a murder inquiry. But I understand where they were coming from. There has been multiple sketches of suspects, of people that claim that they saw a man with a child or a man around the area acting suspiciously. You can find those very easily online if you just look up like Madeleine Mccann police sketches. But I guess, that's it for this case. And I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video, Please let me know in the comments, and let me know any other cases that you would like me to cover. I'm not only doing unsolved cases, I'm going to be doing unsolved and solved cases.